though.
You know, it's funny. It's funny because High School Musical is like the modern equivalent, but it doesn't have the meaning and the depth that Footloose has. Even though like Footloose is just like a big, hey, you know, we all dance. Kind of thing.
Yeah, but you sort of knew what was going to happen from High School Musical 1 to the end, and then sort of 2 to the end, and 3 to the end. You could just sort of write it yourself.
Yeah.
How was the ending? How was the ending different then from the Crucible, like and Footloose?
They were all happy.
The Crucible is proper depressing. Somebody dies and not
What? But
Many
somebody
people
has to
die.
die in the Crucible. Some people. John Proctor has to die. Why does he have to die? I'm not thinking about him as a character. I'm thinking about the society. What does that do for the society? The fact that John Proctor decides to die.
Because he's a weighty man in the village, and he's sort of stuck to his opinion and not just changed. So when he sort of stops everything that happens.
So he feels he deserves to die. Absolutely. On one level, he feels he deserves to die for his sins. But on the other hand, he's actually a weighty name, and him dying would bring the village to a turnabout. So in effect, the whole Salem thing does have a happy ending in a way, because his death brings about a change in people in Salem. Because after after John Proctor died, you know, the witchcraft stopped, and all of the kind of hysteria stopped because of his weight. And the fact that he decided to go to the noose. But obviously Footloose can be something like a film can actually be wrapped up in a nice neat little bow, can't it? Because it's a fictional film, but the Crucible isn't quite the same because it's based on historical fact. If that was a real thing, the whole Footloose jobby would be kind of a little bit less black and white than it was, you know. And we had a really sort of like great ending. What are you meant to think at the end of Footloose? What's the film trying to make you think? Do you think? Think?
Children have a say.
Go on.
Children have a say.
Well,
not children, but sort of like they actually get to put their point across in the society and make change.
So yeah, at the end of the film, it's deliberately filmed so that it's feel good. We all think, oh, why didn't you just let them dance in the first place? You know, and stuff. You know, oh, horrible religious people stopping people from dancing. Yeah, you know, and look at what a good time they're having when they're dancing. And even Willard gets up there and dances at the end.
It didn't show what happened after that, though, did it? All the drugs and the drinking and the
yeah, you didn't quite
fun in the bathrooms and stuff.
You didn't see that? Okay, I'm glad I'm recording this. So, yeah, I'm recording it. It's still got on YouTube. No, it didn't show that, did it? So, I mean, that's a lesson. That's mainly a lesson for media studies when we do our media stuff about how a filmmaker makes you think and kind of manipulates you into a way of thinking. And we've got to step back from that and learn critical thinking and learn how to analyse what is actually going on the screen, or you know what you're reading in the newspaper or something like that. But just for the next few minutes, I'll talk briefly about the culture and the society of both of these kind of places. And you might want to make some notes because this will be kind of important. So you can make some notes in your book. You can make some notes on the back of the sheet. Anything that you'll find useful for taking home and writing the essay. So, in the culture of Salem, it was a sort of the beliefs of the people were strictly Christian, weren't they? Okay, very strictly Christian, and they wouldn't even believe that Abigail Williams and the other girls could possibly be lying, because Christians don't lie. Whereas in the culture of Footloose, they don't really trust their children. And that's why they're stopping them from dancing, because they don't trust them. In the society that the Crucible is set in, they're stopping them because they believe it's a sin and that people shouldn't do it. In Footloose, they're stopping them because they don't trust their children. Okay? They would just be expected to not do it in Salem. In Footloose, they're stopping it because children do it. Okay? Historical period, quite simply. Yeah, come in. The historical period, Footloose is set in the 1980s in America. Okay. The The Crucible is set in the 17th century in America. Isn't it interesting that there's a similarity between the two societies still? That you know, you see so many similarities between Footloose and the Crucible, yet we're 300 years on from what happened in 1692 in Salem, yet things are quite similar. Certainly in this town, but the youth attitude has changed. Okay? They feel they should be free to say, I don't believe what you necessarily believe. And that's how the vicar's character kind of learns his lesson, really. By saying, you know, I want my children to be Christians. I want them to believe what I believe, but it might not happen.
What was the Reverend called in Footloose?
What's the Reverend called in Footloose? I can't remember. We'll look it up on the internet.
Call him Reverend.
Rev. The Rev, yeah.
Rocking Rev.
The Rocking Rev.
Yeah, looking at him tearing his hair out. So we're not dancing, we're going on.
Okay. The style of the piece, obviously, they're both naturalistic, aren't they? Okay, they're both sort of straight narrative pieces. There's no kind of flashbacks or anything in Footloose. There's no flashbacks in the Crucible. It's all straight narrative. So the styles are actually very similar. Now you've got. I'm going to put this up on, you know, our discussion and what have you. I'll put this up on the YouTube account and the Deeper Roots website so that we can come back to this. And I'll probably try and chop up the film and kind of do a bit of an analysis of it and put it on the YouTube account so you can use it for your essay. So the guys who are in Paris now can come back and they can, you know, kind of self-teach. But what I want you to do now is the list of questions that I've given you on the other side. If you could work in, you know, you can work in 2-3s if you want to, U3 and U3, and just prepare some answers and discuss it amongst yourself what you think the answers are to these questions. And then what we'll do is we'll just record what your answers are, okay? And we'll just you know, we'll just do it that way. And if you've got anything else, don't be limited to just these questions. If you've got any other observations, please feel free to chip in and just write it down on a sheet of paper. So